So we're just going to leave the tape running and talk about your first cottage. No, do you remember your first trip here? The first time you came to Jack's Lake?
It was over at Armstrong Island.
Oh yeah, and that's just, maybe you could show us on the map, because some people won't know where that is. Right there.
This was in 1952.
Was it?
Right there.
Is that how you found out about
52
Jack's
and
Lake?
53, and then 54 we bought. No.
I think right in here.
Yeah,
Where
right.
Nicholson's are now?
We bought there. And then in 58 we built this place.
Where we are now. Was it Armstrong's who told you about Jack's Lake? Gertrude Armstrong told you about Jack's Lake?
Yeah, that was Russ's cousins, you know. He was Russ's cousin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so we came up there for 2 years. And then we, if I could only think of that girl's name that had that before Bunny had it.
That's what's now Forest Glen
Alice Fields. Alice Fields was her name.
So that's what's Forest Glen
She
Marina
had,
now.
Um,
Was it called Holiday Beach
and
then?
somebody was standing there and at the counter when I was buying something. I said, "Does anybody have any? Do you know of anybody that has property for sale?" And this woman said, "I do." And she told me where it was, and that's where it was.
So when you bought there.
And we bought it.
What kind of a boat did you have?
Well, we had a fiberglass boat with a, gee, I think it was a 35 or something like that.
Oh, was it? Good sized motor.
I know Tom Lane said that was an awful big motor.
For Jack's Lake? At the time. Now, did you build on that property? Or did you have someone build the cottage for you?
It was already built.
Oh, it was already there? And is that cottage still the one Nicholson's are in then? And you built this one here?
We had men come and frame this in. And Russell added this, of course.
So did you have Russell and Mimi then? Did you have the kids when you first came up?
Yeah.
How old was Russell?
When I first come up, you know, back there was no hydro, no anything. We had to go down the lake and get the ice, put a little ice box and oil lamps. And I used to come and stay all summer with them. They were twins. And they were, well, I think they were about 4 years old when we first came up. And
So that would be busy chasing twins.
now, to my son, this is home. When we come down the lake, we said we're going home because he was raised here every summer. We were here all summer long until school started.
You were the lucky ones. You got to stay all summer. Now,
We saw them cut the swaths for the hydro line in back of where Nicholson is, and then they came over here and dynamited the rocks and put in the holes for ours, and that was in 58, I think. They did that.
you've got your cook stove here, the wood stove.
Yeah, Bunny Owens brought that up for us. We couldn't live without it.
Even now.
It heats the whole cottage, you know, I get it going.
Do you remember the phone system you used to have for this bay?
Yeah, still up there.
They had a crank, well, you've still got the crank phone. Who else was in on that? That was before Bell came in. You were hooked up.
Vaughn and Wilkinson's and Nicholson's and John Huck.
Who put that in? Who put all the lines in so you could phone each other? It was the old crank phones, wasn't it? Before Bell came in.
Russell's father.
Oh yeah? It was all underwater? All the lines?
Underwater.
Do you still use it?
And these were all
No,
people
no,
right in
he's
this
never
area?
No,
hooked
just
it
in
up.
the little, in
Just
Tucker's
in this
Bay.
bay, okay,
Yes.
in Tucker's Bay,
Yeah.
all right.
So you've seen a lot of changes on the lake. A lot of people too, changing.
I was just thinking of all the people that I've known that aren't here anymore. It's just, it's heartbreaking to think how many I've known.
A lot of memories though. And a lot of their kids are still on the lake, or their grandchildren.
The first man that made the map of the lake was Smith. He lived over in that bay over there on the mainland. Dave Smith,
In Brooks Bay?
he made the first map.
Do you know where his
He
cottage
was,
was?
he was an engineer, and beautiful work.
Did-
And I used to take the kids over there to their house, and Russell called him Jolly Boy. And we got acquainted with him because we had our oil lamp on in the window down there at the bay. And he came up one day and he said, I had to come down and see who was down here. And we were friends right away, you know. And his wife was an artist. We used to go over there. I remember one time we went over to watch movies that they had. And it was a full moon. I guess it was about midnight. I brought the kids across the lake.
It'd be beautiful.
And then there was Townsend's. You don't remember JT, do you?
No.
He was a friend of Russell's. He died when he was about 15.
Oh, is that right? So it's,
One of my boys.
mhm.
I had a lot of boys.
Yeah, well, she only had one son, but she had a lot of boys.
Yeah.
They just hang around. There's a few of them that are still hanging around for the cooking. The baby.
That's right, they come for the food.
Sometimes there'd be 5 of them in that room, and one night they got wrestling around in there and actually broke the steel frame of the bed. So they had to take it down the next day and have it welded.
You'd have to get a broom to keep them in line.
Oh, they were all big guys. You know, Bill Watt was always big. And they used to go out here and surf in moonlight.
Do you remember
And then, remember Donna?
Donna what?
No,
Carson.
Donna Carson.
Donna Carson?
And Pete Dumperly and, well, John Townsend and Russell. And they all had boats. And Donna's father used to call them the Ridge Runners. And they'd tear around this lake like everything. Then one year I even got in the regatta. Some man was down there and he had that was years ago, a 75 horse. And he gave me all his heavy equipment and I got in and raced, and it was Gene Strano and I don't know who all was in there. Judy Wager I think was in too. But anyhow, we were in the race, and after that race was a men's open, and he went in the race, and his whole transom came out.
Oh.
I was glad it didn't happen to me. I used to practice with the kids. You know, Russell has got a whole shelf full of trophies that he won. And I used to go out, we used to go right Sheep's Island and race down through here.
To practice the event?
Good old days.
Now, that was when the regatta was in Hatton Bay, was it? When you were in the race, or was it in Brooks Bay?
Oh, Hatton Bay, that brings back memories. We took a wood stove down there. This was the centennial, I think.
67?
Anyhow, we took a wood stove down and made heated the sloppy joes and made coffee and everything down there for the whole crowd.
It was a very different regatta then.
I guess.
And then the first time that
Down here.
Jack Lake ever took over the cooking, I did it down at Forest Glen in that shed. They had I don't know whether they still have a window there or not, in their workshop.
Oh, I don't know.
And we sold the sloppy joes for 10 cents a piece.
Things kind of got out of
I
hand.
remember
Those big motors.
how we advertised though. We blew up balloons and put, you know, the date of the regatta on that and everything. And then went out in boats and floated them.
And let them
water.
go?
And then of course, naturally, people would pick them up.
Well, that's a good idea. I've
And then,
never heard that before.
I was gonna have it get the plaque in there. I was
Which
gonna-
one?
The plaque that John had made for me.
Oh,
I have to get the date on it first before I tell you about it because it was so interesting. '67, '68.
what does it say?
Jack Lake Cottagers Association, 1967-68. Marguerite Miller, membership chairman.
Well, the way we did, we got a float boat and we had a big thermos, put boiling water in it and took instant coffee. And I made blueberry muffins. I used to go and gather the blueberries and make the muffins. And we'd put it on there and we went all over the lake, every cottage. And to get the dues, John Marcial was the president and a real good friend of ours. And he had that plaque made for me. And Ethel Fanshawe was, he had one made for her too. She was head of the White Elephants and stuff.
How long did it take you to go around to the cottages?
Well, we did it, we'd do a day or two a week. And Andre Marcial and I and Fran Williams and there was a couple others that used to go.
Tell me about the Jack Lake Land Company because I don't know a lot about that. When did you start that? The Jack Lake Land Company? When you were, who was involved in that?
Well, it was Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Shipley and my husband and Bob Waker. I think it was just 5.
Was there?
And that was, this land, this island included, had never been for sale because it belonged to Timber King that owned it. And that was that big cottage down there as you go into the Narrows, on the right, the big one?
The big, it used to be the white one.
Robbins Estate. Okay. And of course, that was close to 100 years, I guess, or close to it. And then just his remaining relatives had it. And they lived down east, I don't know, Boston or somewhere down east. And Mr. Armstrong went down and negotiated to buy all this land.
Can you show us on the map where that land was? Because I know it was
Well,
kind of spread out.
all these islands, you know, we owned all the islands and all around here and all along the Narrows,
Yeah, I know, our land was part of that.
Hatton Bay, the whole bay,
That's down at the
Down
bottom
here.
there.
yeah, you know, all that, we owned all that. And, well, I can tell you, but I know it was, but it never had been for sale before. I don't have any idea how much they paid for it. But I know when they first started selling it, they sold it for $4.50 a foot frontage, which was ridiculous,
Oh, wow.
you know.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could do that now? $4.50.
And then they finally sold it to that
Viceroy.
real estate
Viceroy.
company.
Yeah, things started to develop. When, do you remember when that was, when they bought the land? Not Viceroy, but the Jack Lake Land Company? Was that in the 60s or before then?
Well, this was part of it, and we bought it after he got in.
Yeah, so that was in the 50s.
Oh, we were here on 58.
Yeah.
Did you say what year it was you first came here? When was that, 1952, when you first came?
Well, down at Armstrong's it was, at 54 back here. And then, one day, Mr. Armstrong was taking people around the lake to try to sell property, and he got Nicholson's, and he was showing them, and then he knew we wanted to sell this because my daughter wanted this island, and my husband said, well, sell this one and we'll get this one over here. So they came in and I was baking bread, and it was a cold day, windy and cold, like it can be up here. And they looked it over and they went back out, and pretty soon they were back. We'll take it. And they still say it was the bread.
That's it.
Did she tell you about the Hatton farm? Did y'all talk about that?
No.
No.
You'll have to tell them about the farm down there, what it was like. In the farmhouse at the Hattons, wasn't that at Hatton?
Yeah.
That was up on the hill.
Actually, I owned all that down there myself. And when they wanted my husband to join the Jack Lake Land Company, we just turned over that property to them. And that's the way he bought into the company.
There was a
But I
farmhouse
wish I'd
there.
have kept it.
Oh, would have been worth a lot today. But there's a lot of happy cottagers that are there now.
Yeah.
No, what do you know about the old farmhouse that was there? There was an old farmhouse there?
Oh yeah, back up on the, way back in there, the first people that came to the lake, I think, they were, I don't know what their name was, but that Jenny's Island, you know, up there, was named for their daughter. He was trying to get her out of the lake, and she, I guess, had eaten poison mushroom or something, and she died right there. And that's the reason they call that Jenny's Island.
So he was trying to bring her back by boat?
Trying to get her out, yeah, to the doctor. Like the time we came across the lake, and Mr. Armstrong and his brother-in-law, and his brother-in-law was fussing with the motor all the time across the lake, trying to shut it off, you know. And he had a few too many. And he finally got over to our place over here, in Nicholson's place. And Farrell stopped the boat like this. He went right over the back and right into the lake.
I bet that sobered him up real quick.
Yeah.
It straightened him out, you know.
Yeah.
What time of year was that?
It was cold.
Was it?
Probably September or something. Well, I used to be up here from the 1st of May until lots of times it was, well, I know one time Joe helped us fix a eave trough back here and it was snowing.
You were usually here for our Thanksgiving, weren't you? You stayed
Sometimes.
that late.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Yeah, we've been
there's
on her Thanksgiving down at Williams. They had everybody there one time. Yeah, a long time ago.
But that was when you were going from here back to Florida, so,
No, we lived in
oh,
Ohio.
was it then?
We didn't go to Florida until after Mimi died. When she died, I couldn't stay in there anymore. If it hadn't been for my son, I wouldn't have made it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Russell kept you busy.
Yeah, he always keeps me busy. Keeps me on my toes.
Summer's too short now.
Yeah. A few more years, we'll be up here longer when Russ retires.
I held him up for a week this time. But Russell said, 1 week is better than 2 weeks.
That's
Mhm.
right.
That's right.
Not very long.
And now Chris is getting the bug to stay longer too.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to go back till September, so he'd like to stay by himself.
Those Jack Lake traditions are hard to break. Just
Well,
come as
he's
early as
been
you can
here,
and stay as long as you
he's
can.
20 years old. He's been here for every birthday from his first. Like a picture of Mandy and he out here in the yard on his
Yes,
first birthday.
They're both 1 year old. It's fine.
Just hanging onto a tree. He was trying to walk around.
Yeah, neither of them were too good at walking right then.
Yeah, that was
Now
fun.
he's going into his 3rd year of university.
Soon there'll be another generation.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a hurry for that, are you?
Not quite yet.
No.
So I'm lucky to have a wonderful daughter-in-law and a wonderful son who have, I couldn't have made it without them. You
No,
know?
they've always found room in the car for you.
Not a lot, but not a very big car.
It's a
I
good thing.
depend so much on them.